Sports. He was accused of choking a woman, this time a female production assistant. This reportedly happened before his tenure at ESPN.
The sports media world has been rocked by the stunning announcement that Shannon Sharpe has been suspended from ESPN amid serious allegations that have thrown his broadcasting career into jeopardy. Despite attempts to frame the situation as a voluntary leave, multiple sources confirmed that ESPN executives made the decision to remove Sharpe from his position on First Take temporarily, a move many industry insiders believe will ultimately become permanent. In a carefully worded statement shared on social media, Sharpe wrote, "My statement is found here, and this is the truth. The relationship in question was 100% consensual. At this juncture, I am electing to step aside temporarily from my ESPN duties. I will be devoting this time to my family and responding and dealing with these false and disruptive allegations set against me. I plan to return to ESPN at the start of the NFL preseason. I sincerely appreciate the overwhelming and ongoing support I have received from my family, fans, friends, and colleagues." However, sources familiar with the situation indicate this characterization of events is misleading. ESPN reportedly made the decision to suspend Sharpe, though they allowed him to frame his departure as voluntary to preserve his public image during the ongoing investigation. This approach mirrors ESPN's handling of previous controversies involving high-profile talent like Donovan McNabb, who was similarly suspended with promises of returning before ultimately being quietly separated from the network. The allegations against Sharpe stem from a civil lawsuit filed by a woman represented by high-profile attorney Tony Buzbee. While no criminal charges have been filed, the allegations have already proven damaging enough to Sharpe's reputation to prompt ESPN's decisive action. The case appears to be headed for civil court, where the battle now centers primarily on public perception rather than criminal liability. What has particularly raised eyebrows throughout sports media circles is the stark contrast between how Sharpe's situation has been handled compared to other public figures facing similar allegations. His colleague Stephen A. Smith has faced significant criticism for his especially when compared to his vigorous defense of Jay-Z when the music mogul faced allegations from the same attorney. In a YouTube video addressing Sharpe's situation, Smith appeared notably reserved, stating, "I spoke to Shannon, not in details, but I spoke to him and he emphatically proclaims his innocence." According to Mr. Buzbee, his client emphatically proclaims his guilt. So where does that leave us? I'd love to tell you that I know the answer to that question, but I don't. Smith continued by distancing himself from the decision-making process despite acknowledging his role in bringing Sharpe to ESPN. "I am the executive producer of First Take on ESPN. I recruited Shannon. I went and got him and brought him to ESPN. But I'm not the boss. Those are other folks. There are layers to this, and there are certain layers even I am not on." But wait, there is more. This measured response stands in stark contrast to Smith's forceful defense of Jay-Z when faced with similar allegations. When discussing Jay-Z, Smith emphatically declared, "I'm telling you, I've known this man for 25 years, and I'm saying for me, Stephen A. Smith, there is no way in hell I believe this about him." Critics, including media personalities Cameron M. and Mace, have called out this discrepancy in Smith's approach. When he heard about Jay-Z, he said, "The guy I know this is not true," one commentator noted. When it came to Shannon, he was like, I wasn't there." This inconsistency has led to speculation about the true nature of Smith and Sharpe's professional relationship despite their on-air chemistry. Adding another layer to the controversy are allegations that NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal may have played a role in surfacing damaging information about Sharpe. Audio allegedly from Matt Barnes, another sports media personality, claims that O'Neal was paying top dollar for any information on old boy Sharpe. In the recording, Barnes purportedly tells a woman, "Shaq said he's paying top dollar for any information on old boy." So again, I don't know if you're on that kind of time or not, but Shaq is known to throw large sums of money around. When questioned about these claims, O'Neal responded with a comedic skit on social media that appeared to mock the allegations while neither confirming nor denying them directly. In the video, he jokes about paying for information on his TNT colleagues Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Ernie Johnson, an approach critics argue was meant to deflect from the serious nature of the accusations. Sources close to Sharpe suggest that he has made numerous enemies in the sports media world, which may explain the limited support he has received during this crisis. A former stylist reportedly released messages showing Sharpe expressing dislike for many of Smith's friends and associates in the industry, including Lil Wayne, Matt Barnes, Shady McCoy, and Shaquille O'Neal. This alleged alienation from influential figures in sports media may have left Sharpe particularly vulnerable when facing public scrutiny. The timing of these allegations has proven particularly devastating for Sharpe, who had recently rebuilt his media career at ESPN after leaving FS1's Undisputed, where he had gained prominence alongside Skip Bayless. His addition to First Take had been viewed as a successful transition until these allegations surfaced. As the legal process unfolds, the court of public opinion continues to deliberate on Sharpe's future. While he maintains his innocence and expresses intentions to return to ESPN by the NFL preseason, industry insiders remain skeptical about his long-term prospects at the network. This pattern of suspension, followed by quiet separation, has become a familiar exit strategy for talent embroiled in controversy at major sports networks. For now, Sharpe faces the challenging task of defending himself against these allegations, while watching his carefully constructed media career hang in the balance. The case serves as a stark reminder of how quickly public perception can shift in the age of social media and how devastating allegations, even without criminal charges, can be to a public figure's career and reputation. Can Sharpe rebuild his image and regain the public's trust? Share your thoughts in the comments section and subscribe to our channel for more updates. Charleston White has dropped a shocking new twist, claiming that Aaron the Plumber has been in contact with the FBI over threats allegedly made by WAC 100. This revelation adds fuel to the ongoing feud between Aaron and WAC that has been heating up for months.
Charleston White was on the Danza Project, and he reveals that he has information that somebody is working with the FBI and they're snitching on WAC 100.
Charleston White recently said on the Danza Project podcast that the FBI may have contacted a man named Aaron the Plumber about threats WAC 100 made on air. White said WAC could be in serious trouble and might even go to jail. This all started at Ray J's house, where Aaron got into a fight with a security guard named Donut. Aaron asked the guard to put down his gun so they could fight fairly, but the guard said no. As Aaron walked away, the guard reportedly spat on his back from about 10 feet away. This highly disrespectful act prompted Aaron to attempt to retaliate, but he was quickly restrained by approximately 3 security guards who removed him from the premises. According to eyewitness accounts, Aaron was so enraged by the disrespect that he was crying while leaving the house and spent time walking around the property trying to find a way back in to confront Donut. Following this humiliating encounter, Aaron reached out to a mutual connection requesting, "Yo, lock me in with WAC 100. Link me up with WAC 100. I want WAC 100 to set up the fade with me and Donut. I can come to Donut's hood. I can come anywhere Donut wants to get it at. I just want to fade with Donut. He disrespected me, and as a man, I need that." A mutual connection, usually uninvolved in street politics, gave Aaron WAC 100's contact info, hoping he could help mediate. At first, talks between Aaron, WAC, Loose Cannon, and Creep were productive, with WAC's side understanding Aaron's position and agreeing to help resolve things. However, things quickly deteriorated when Aaron sent a text message to WAC 100 that read, "Big bro, we waiting on you to tell us what time it is. If he ain't gonna fade, then we gonna get active. I got ninjas mad as F from everywhere ready to step behind me. Bloods, Pirates, even Mexicans. I want my fade, but if I can't get it, somebody got to pay for that. Respectfully, we ain't going for that." WAC 100 interpreted this as an outsider attempting to dictate terms in Los Angeles, which crossed a line for him. In WAC's perspective, someone who is not from LA cannot make calls and shots regarding street matters in the city. What followed was a heated phone conversation that was captured on audio and later circulated online. On a recorded call, WAC 100 was heard making serious threats, saying things like, "You want a fade? Where you at? We gonna give you your fade," and using strong language towards someone, even mentioning their family. Charleston White, speaking on the Danza Project podcast, said this call got the FBI's attention because the threats were made in public. He claimed he spoke directly with Aaron the plumber, who confirmed that the FBI contacted him about the things Wack said about his mother and kids. The podcast host expressed surprise at White's claim, noting, "I didn't know he was anywhere affiliated to anything in the realm of Wack 100. White clarified that Aaron has ties to Los Angeles and has spent time in either Texas or California prisons, making him either gang-affiliated or gang-associated. White added, "He's from LA. He got into it with one of Wack 100's homeboys, the security guard. He got into it with the security guard who had the gun on him who spit on him." The podcast host then highlighted the seriousness of the spitting incident, stating he would have handled it differently. "Oh, he way better than me, and then you spitting bodily fluids? I'm pressing charges on your mother ass. And then once I press them charges, I'm gonna go get you civilly so I can put a lien on your house." Charleston White's comments were timely, coming just before the feds began investigating other LA podcast figures like Loose Cannon, Brick Baby, and Big U. He predicted these developments, questioning whether law enforcement would continue letting people publicly record assaults without facing consequences. Charleston White also talked about a violent attack that happened outside the No Jumper podcast studio. He said the beating was so bad that it likely got the attention of law enforcement. Charleston White also talked about a violent attack that happened outside the No Jumper podcast studio. He said the beating was so bad that it likely got the attention of law enforcement. They stripped the guy, beat him, kicked him. It was hard to watch, White said. "You think the police saw that video and aren't trying to find a way to charge those people?" He believes the feds have been keeping an eye on the LA podcast scene for a while now because of all the violence being shown publicly. This situation highlights what appears to be a changing dynamic in how conflicts with Wack 100 are being handled. As one commentator noted, "I feel like people have realized that you can't really bully Wack or you can't out-tough Wack because Wack is willing to take it there. Like Wack is willing to go where they're willing to go. So it feels like the new strategy now when it comes to all of Wack's enemies is to snitch and get Wack off the streets. That appears to be the new strategy." The commentator pointed out that trying to get someone sent to jail can be more dangerous than a direct fight. Wack can handle people coming at him, he said, but when people are working behind the scenes to lock you up, that's a whole different level of danger. Still, he wasn't convinced that Wack 100 truly meant to harm Aaron the plumber's family. "I don't think Wack planned to do anything," he said. "It sounded like a heated moment. And honestly, it's been months and no one's been hurt or even messed with." This situation continues to unfold as part of a larger pattern of conflicts and legal troubles involving major figures in the hip-hop podcasting world, with Charleston White presenting himself as an insider with unique insight into how law enforcement handles these cases. Could this be the beginning of a major crackdown on the scene? Share your thoughts in the comments section and subscribe to our channel for the latest updates.
That make a lot more sense.
Yeah, that's not snitching.
No. Now, as far as Brick goes, I think a lot of people were really thrown off and saddened by.
They thought they were walking out, but the judge had other plans. In a courtroom showdown that felt more like a street war than a legal hearing, Brick Baby and Loose Cannon just got hit with a brutal reality check. No bond, no freedom, and no mercy from the judge. Let's get straight to it. Both Brick Baby and Loose Cannon were denied bond. They were confident they'd be released on April 9th because they had strong bond packages. Brick Baby's mom even put up a multi-million-dollar property. However, the judge denied their requests, citing similar reasons, including prior criminal history, potential interference with the legal process, and that the court believes they pose a threat. This doesn't stop them from reapplying for bond, but for now, they remain in custody. Brick Baby's hearing went smoothly, but Loose Cannon's, not so much. There was some serious drama involving a neighborhood OG named Eddie Boy. I want to give you guys both sides, all right. The pro-Loose Cannon side and the anti-Loose Cannon side. Eddie Boy was in the courtroom. Apparently, they don't get along. Loose Cannon straight up said in court, "Why is Eddie Boy here? I don't mess with him," right in front of everybody. The officers had to step in, telling him Eddie Boy had every right to be there. Court is public. After some back and forth, Loose Cannon finally cooled down. During the hearing, the prosecution brought up Loose Cannon's past charges to argue he was a risk to society. However, Loose Cannon claimed many of those charges weren't his. He said something like, "I didn't go to jail for that. My brother did those crimes. It turns out that Loose Cannon and his brother aren't just siblings. They're actually twins. Not only do they look alike, but they also have strikingly similar names. That's where things took a strange turn. Due to what appears to have been a clerical error in the legal system, the prosecution mistakenly pulled up his brother's criminal record and tried to use it against Loose Cannon in court. In other words, they were holding him accountable for things he never actually did. Now here's where things get tricky. Loose Cannon pointed out the mistake to the court, making it clear that those charges didn't belong to him, but to his twin brother. That correction helped his case, but in certain circles, especially in the streets, calling out someone else's record, even if it's to defend yourself, raises eyebrows.
Yeah, I say that on the phone, like, yo, you nigga, why you on the phone? I'm like, oh, because you know them calls is recorded. Yeah. So they like, man, what the you? I'm like, oh, I'm like, man. I started crying for a second, and I hung up the phone.
So, is that snitching? Well, some like 600 might say yes, because, technically, he revealed that his brother had a criminal record, even if indirectly. But from Loose Cannon's perspective, he wasn't trying to get his brother in trouble or cooperate with the authorities against him. He was just trying to clear his own name and avoid being punished for something he didn't do. In his eyes, it wasn't snitching, it was self-defense. The situation with Eddie Boy escalated. Loose Cannon's lawyer observed Eddie Boy on his phone and suspected he was recording. She alerted the judge, who had Eddie Boy escorted out to check. He wasn't recording and was allowed back in. Loose Cannon's past online activity was also brought up. Prosecutors are using his claims of being an enforcer and his comments about people's families against him. They even asked Eddie Boy if he wanted to press charges for those comments. But Eddie Boy said, "No, I don't need to. Loose Cannon is being accused of lying about fights in jail, which prosecutors say never happened. He's also accused of not being truthful about his gang affiliation. Some are saying he's not really a rolling 60. Loose Cannon and his associates deny these allegations. The fight outside No Jumper with JRE was brought up as evidence of Loose Cannon's violent tendencies. The prosecution is using this to argue that he shouldn't be released back into society. The situation with Eddie Boy escalated. Loose Cannon's lawyer observed Eddie Boy on his phone and suspected he was recording. She alerted the judge, who had Eddie Boy escorted out to check. He wasn't recording and was allowed back in. Loose Cannon's past online activity was also brought up. Prosecutors are using his claims of being an enforcer and his comments about people's families against him. They even asked Eddie Boy if he wanted to press charges for those comments. It's crazy how things change. Loose Cannon and 600 used to be on the same team, exposing others. Now, 600 is calling Loose Cannon a liar. This shows how quickly life can come at you, especially when you're living a fast life. All of Loose Cannon's enemies seem to be stuck in the past, relics from the 60s, and that's not just a coincidence. It highlights a harsh and sobering truth about gang culture. It's a cycle that refuses to evolve, built on old grudges, outdated codes, and empty promises. People often think gangs provide a sense of safety, a place to belong, like a brotherhood. But the reality is far more brutal. There's no peace here. No true protection. What you find, instead, is betrayal, violence, and a life filled with constant paranoia. Loose Cannon's story isn't some fictional drama crafted for entertainment. These aren't just characters on a screen. They're reflections of real people, real communities, and real consequences. The pain is authentic. The danger is real. And perhaps the most tragic part is this. The very gang he dedicated his life to, the one he believed in, is the one now turning on him. That's the dark irony. Loyalty in this world is often one-sided. The idea of brotherhood? Often nothing more than a myth used to keep people trapped in a cycle of destruction. There's a powerful lesson hidden here. It's not just a cautionary tale, it's a wake-up call. The streets may promise respect, but they rarely deliver anything more than heartbreak. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below, and be sure to check out the video on why a Rolling 60 OG is claiming Brick Baby snitched. Thanks for watching. From platinum-selling artist to public embarrassment, YK Osiris has fallen hard. What happened to the man behind the hit songs? Today we will discuss his financial troubles, public humiliation, and scamming allegations that have left his career in shambles.